lost, alone, bare to the bone. It's the midst of the rainy season. Everything is gone. I lost all my friends. I lost all my equipment. I'm hundreds of kilometers away from civilization in a totally uncharted area. It's the rainy season. I have no food. I have no knife. I have no gun. I have no fire. And I have no knowledge of this environment. This is the time where my lifelong dream is suddenly turned into the worst nightmare possible. Huge trees swaying above my head, the river roaring in the canyon beneath, rains and thunders and all the elements, all these mighty elements, and one man in the worst possible condition. So my dream was really naive, because my dream was I wanted to be a great explorer. I wanted to go deep into the Amazon, into the uncharted, and discover a tribe that was never seen before. I wanted to penetrate the tribe, become one of them, marry the daughter of the chief, and find lots of gold and treasure. You see, when you're naive, you don't know it's impossible. You know, like dream like that is impossible. But if you don't know it's impossible, it's possible. There's two big enemies of the dream maker: resistance and fear. There's only one way to deal with fear. I'm saying it, you know, on this stage with the commitment to live my life like that. The only way to deal with fear is to walk towards it. If you don't walk towards your fear, it will chase you. You will run, and like a shadow, it will run after you. And like a shadow, as you run, the fear will get bigger. But if you dare and stop and turn towards it, you will see that like a shadow, it shrinks and disappears. So the first challenge, I want to challenge you, all of you, as leaders, meet your fear. Make it an experiment between you and yourself, because I'm not talking about survival fear. I'm talking about an emotional fear. To face somebody, to face your team, to face your boss, to face your spouse. Walk towards your fear. I promise you, what a relief and laughter comes as you see that magic of walking towards your fear. When you go after your dream, it's dangerous. Maybe you will fail. It will break your heart. Many times when you succeed, it will break your heart. That way or another, when you go after your dream, it's pretty sure recipe for a broken heart. But I'll tell you one thing, there's nothing more whole than a broken heart. Resistance is part of any journey. You climb up the mountain doesn't yield. You will sweat, you will fall, your muscles will burn. There's always resistance. You cannot get to the summit if you don't pay for the resistance on the way. Every journey is like that. There's always but. The but you should welcome, because it's part of the ways that makes you tougher, it makes you stronger, make you more creative, but never ever let the but stand between you and your dream. Erase the word but from your dictionary. There's no excuses. When life is really tough, you just have no time to be a victim. Victim is a choice. Adversity is a situation. Challenge is a situation. Pain, difficulty is a situation, but victim is not a situation. Victim is a choice. It's time to bust the myths of survival. Survival is the best thing that can happen to us. We are designed to survive. We are all expert in survival. But by associating survival with negativity, we poison ourselves. We create imaginary survival situations which are not real, and then instead of using the survival skill, we're falling victims to them. The meaning of survival is peak performance. Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, all your faculties at the top of their game consolidate on one clear target. You imagine how much power you have when all your faculties focus on one clear purpose? You're unstoppable. Competition is survival. That's a good thing, because in competition, we are at peak performance. Look at the Olympic Games. In the Olympic Games, all the world records are broken. Those top athletes, why don't they break the records all around the 4 years? Because the competition is not fierce enough. When they come to the Olympics, that's the toughest competition possible. Naturally, each of these athletes is driven to peak performance, and the world records are broken. You should invite situation of survival because it makes you the best that you can be. By the way, when you are the best that you can be, it also feels good. So actually survival feels good because when you are at peak performance, also emotionally, mentally, you feel balanced, you feel strong. That's the best thing that can happen to us, is to be in a survival situation. Life is not tough enough. That's our problem. When life is really tough, we are just the best that we can be, and we are happy about it. When you go to the Olympics, nobody is eliminating the competition, you know? That's the toughest competition, is the Olympics, but you know what? There's no loser in the Olympic. When you ask the one that came last in the race, got no medal, he's number 8. When you go and talk to this guy, he's not a loser. He broke his personal record. He broke the country record that wasn't broken for 11 years because he's the best that he's ever been. Competition makes the best out of you. 10 years passed, and somehow I got back to the same place. What we didn't see in the movie is that there, beside Kevin and Tico, there were 2 other people in the boat. Those were Uchupiamonas, the only local people that live in this part of the world. Actually, the Uchupiamonas, 2 hunters, found Kevin in the river. They saved him. And in the boat, they were the one that helping Tico negotiate that rapids there. The only people that live in this area. They saved Kevin's life. They came with him to save my life. So 10 years later, with Tico, with the same guy, I went up to visit the Uchupiamonas in their village, far up the Tuichi River, deep in the Madidi, the most isolated tribe in the area, the only people that live in the jungle. There was a ceremony, and after the ceremony, the leaders invited me to a council. In that council, they said, look, you came to thank us for saving your life. But our life is in danger. It is the entire village that is dying now. Will you help us save ourselves? Progress is arriving gradually. The youth of the village, they don't want to remain in the middle of the jungle living the ancestral life. So one by one, the youth are going to the jungle towns and become the cheapest labor, scrubbing floor, dishes in the backs of restaurants. But they never come back to the village. Because I'm a coward. There's a beautiful, pristine lake not far from here. On this lake, we will build a resort. It's so beautiful that thousands of people, tourists from all over the world, are going to come to visit. And this will give us hope, because the youth are going to work and build this camp, and they're going to be the guides and the motormen and the cook and the maids, and they can earn money. But not only that, they can have pride in their culture. They have a beautiful dream, and they say, can you help us? It's impossible. What are they talking about? This is, just to get there is impossible. The jungle town is I'm not talking about the village. The jungle town downriver, a day downriver, is isolated. There's only 1 flight a week, a military airplane on a grass landing strip. It's canceled most of the time. It's a rainforest. Most flights are canceled. The other way to get to the jungle town is officially called the Death Road. It's officially the most dangerous road on the planet, with more casualties than any other route. You cannot even get to the jungle town. How will you have a tourist operation a day upriver? It's impossible. They didn't know it's impossible. The only thing that makes something impossible is knowing it's impossible. They didn't know it's impossible. Who was I to tell them they're naive and it's impossible? So what I said instead, I said that's a great idea, and of course I can help you, and I will help you. The definition of integrity is to be true to your word. You have to be very careful with what you say, because if you say it, you have to do it. Otherwise, don't say anything. So when I said, I'm going to help them, I went and packed my stuff in Los Angeles. I came back, and I stayed with them for 3 years. In the middle of the Amazon, on that river that almost claimed my life, I lived with them for 3 years to make their dream come true. What they want to do is really impossible because no investor in his right mind is going to invest in a tourism operation in such a remote area. I had no clue about this part of the world besides getting lost there. I had no clue about tourism. But when people ask me, what is your profession? I tell them, I'm a professional unprofessional. And I want to tell you what it means. It means I can learn very fast. So no matter what it is, I can study and I can learn. And I want to tell you also as leaders, the single most important quality is the ability to learn, to assimilate, to implement. There's nothing like learning. Learning actually creates new patterns in your brain. It changes the plasticity of your brain. Repetition is the comfort zone of the mind. If you're an expert and you keep doing what you're doing, it's another comfort zone. Only learning expands also the mind. Today, knowledge is, this is old expression, knowledge is everything, knowledge is power. It's not. Everybody has knowledge. Fingertips, Google, knowledge is available. It's not about knowledge. It's about learning what's relevant. It's about assimilating. And as I learned, I had a moment of enlightenment because in one publication that I read, I had a moment of enlightenment. The enlightenment was it was just actually a table that did inventory of the biodiversity. But this was from an economic point of view. And so it was name of resource. Is it renewable, non-renewable? What's the economic value? At the bottom, I saw what actually what changed my life. The economic value of renewable resources by far exceeds the economic value of non-renewable resources. I couldn't believe what I'm seeing. Because what it meant is that saving the forest is a better business than destroying it. It's not about morality. It's not about the future generation. It's not about the water. It's not about the clean air. It's about better business. You save the forest, there's more to extract. There's more to yield. There's more money to be made. So if we destroy the forest for greed, greed is not intelligent. Greed will make more by preserving the forest. Why do you go after the resources to make money? There's more money in preservation, more money. This was unbelievable, and I realized this is the project. And here is the second secret of survival that is really life-changing. Species don't use that energy of peak performance to put another species down. Because the purpose is survival. Putting somebody else down is a lot of energy directed at the wrong direction. We waste too much resources on competition instead of direct the resources at a much easier route, which is nature's secret. What you do is that energy of survival, which is peak performance, is directing it at innovation. That's what nature does. And what does innovation does for you? It creates an advantage. By doing something different, by innovating, you also fertilize all the environment. By competition, you destroy the environment. You exert too much resources, you fight somebody else, you put them down. Your product is the same product, is a Me Too product. The world doesn't benefit from that. And you're constantly in that loop of competition, which is tiring. Innovation is the secret sauce. By being in a survival situation, by being at peak performance, use that energy to differentiate yourself. That's what nature does. Then you have a niche. When you have a niche, you have less competition. When you have less competition, you're more profitable. When you're more profitable, you can invest more in further research, further development, keeping the edge, keeping ahead of the game. With our life, we write a book. Each one of us is an author here. You write the book, and all of us write a big volume full of drama and melodrama and packed with action. Make sure you write yourself as a hero. Nobody should write a book where he, himself, or she is an extra or a side player. How do you want this book to evolve? What do you want to see? Remember, you have a responsibility to be a hero because it's not about yourself. Your gifts, your talent were given to you to shine them. There's two options to respond to life. One is being a victim, which means there's nothing I can do about it. It's bigger than me. It's tougher. I'm just a small player here. That's the prevalent attitude. The opposite of victim is responsible. Because victim means I am not responsible. So the opposite of victim is responsible. What is responsible? Responsible is able to respond. And I tell you, no matter what life brings you, you're always able to respond. Never give up the responsibility. You be responsible, and you'll never be a victim. It's harder to be a hero in your day-to-day life. To be a hero in the jungle, it's natural, you know? There's the circumstances, all your adrenaline, all your power, and you're in peak performance. To be in peak performance in day-to-day, for me, that's the real hero. Heroes of extreme achievement do not impress me. The day-to-day hero, they impress me. Be a hero in your life, not in some extreme circumstances. That's true heroism. Bring this energy, bring this passion to your day-to-day life. That's true heroism.
I left to escape the well-worn path. University, work, marriage, kids. I wanted to experience the extraordinary.
Gracias, señor.
De nada, vaya con Dios.
I told my parents I'd be back in a year, but I don't think I'm ever going back.
I read a book once that said, the last freedom is to choose one's own way.
The hidden world? That's why you're here.
Let's go off into the jungle with a complete stranger.
You're a photographer, right? You take photos, they get you straight into National Geographic.
Okay, let's go.
This is the last frontier on Earth. The jungle shows us what we really are. Perfectly balanced. The problem is us. With the cancer, we deserve to disappear.
The only guy who knows where we are and what we're going to do, and he just walked away. Carl, stop!
You're such a letdown, I can't even believe it.
Run! Tie yourself!